All right, there is a good chance that Tulsi Gabbard won't return to politics. I've been told by some folks that she's very frustrated. She might want to start a family. She wants to just unplug and get away from all of this. That and the fact that Tulsi Gabbard understands the system. And when she would go out on the campaign trail, people would ask her, how are you going to, defeat people in your own party? And she would say, well, democracy, us, you and me. Are there enough of us to defeat this problem? This is what we really have to look at. Are we just trying to make the best of a really bad situation at this point? That's what I think we're all confronted with, that idealistically, people on the progressive left think they're going to reform the government. Nope. Not unless you have people on the inside, not unless you have a not-for-profit corporation that wants to have the same kind of influence that, say, I don't know, Jeff Bezos, pick a corporation, pick a big name. These people have so much power and influence that I would argue that they have as much power as the government has. Look at the mandates. A state could come along and say, we don't mandate you wear a face diaper anymore. Take the face diapers off. Corporation says, nope. If you go visit our stores and inside our offices, we are going to continue with the face diapers. We are going to have more control over your life than the government has. That's a scary thought. And it should make the libertarians a little bit anxious and nervous, because the free market is actually creating this problem where you have, again, let me backtrack on that, because again, in a purist free market, this doesn't happen. People have choices, they can go to other places. But when more and more corporations decide that they have more and more control and power because they consolidate, and yes, I'm sure there could be laws written to offset this, but nobody wants to write the law. You know why? Because all the legislators are on the take. They're part of it. Most of them. Obviously, Tulsi Gabbard was not part of that club. And that is why I think she might be out for good, because she sees the nonsense of it. Maybe she could control something locally. Maybe she could run for governor. Maybe she could run for something that's above Congresswoman. Maybe she could run for Senate in her state. Or maybe that she knows that there's nothing that systemically can happen. The executive can't just make all the rules. In the way our Constitution works, you need the legislative branch, you need the judicial branch along. By the way, that's why it's the judicial. It's a hard word for me to say for some reason. Branch, okay, has a lot of control and power, and that's why people are very concerned about who's going to be on the court, because it's all been politicized, and that's been going on for more than a half century. So if you're a Tulsi Gabbard fan and you're hoping the best is yet to come, the best might be over. And it's not like I'm going to stop doing videos about Tulsi Gabbard. But keep in mind, her tenure in Congress will be over soon. And if she wants to start a family and she wants to worry about kind of people in her own circle, and she sees the futility of going up against the corporate industrial complex, because that's what it is. Corporations with as much power as the federal government, and maybe more so. Corporations controlling policy. And yeah, maybe if you change the laws where corporations aren't allowed to have this kind of influence. But you see, there's a lot of horse trading of human beings between corporations and government. You see this happen all the time. This guy used to work for this corporation. Now he's in the government. This corporation just hired somebody who worked in the Pentagon for 20 or 30 years. and see how that works. All this cross-pollination, these people who know each other and they can report back and they can tell the other guy, hey, this is a policy that we want to set. What do you think of that idea? And then there's endless streams of money. There's all of these corporations can basically buy the level of influence that they want to have. And until that ends, till you get money out of politics completely, this is going to get worse and worse. Amazon.com, Silicon Valley, Tim Cook, these people all have more power than your senators, your congresspeople, and at times even the president of the United States. And then you've got organizations, the corporate state, not the deep state. This is the corporation state that is inside the government or is back out at the corporation, but has that direct line. And this goes beyond the president. The president can only do so much. And so this whole institution, as we know it, is crumbling. So who do corporations want? They want a complete blank slate puppet with his own, he has no, in other words, he has no core of his own. That's what I was trying to say. And they basically make up the core for him. He's got a core, and it's a corporate core. It's been bought and paid for. Joe Biden is the ultimate corporate puppet. Tulsi Gabbard, she's not into that stuff. She really thought she could help, and I think she believed in her heart that she could use democracy and rally the people to overcome this. The problem is a lot of people are so afraid these days that they want to hold on to what they've got. And if what they've got is somehow related to the government blowing up black and brown people in other countries, they'll look right past that. They won't even note it. They'll pretend it doesn't even exist. That's exactly what our media did when Tulsi Gabbard ran for president. They ignored it. They pretended that, oh, we're not an empire. No, we're not just going to take natural resources from other countries. No. And to give them to corporations so they can have more power and influence over people who are just trying to make ends meet. See, I guess, if the corporations employed everybody and said, come on board and we're going to pay you a great wage, this would be interesting. This would be very interesting, but they don't do that. They don't. They want to make huge profits for the people who run the corporations. And those people, again, have ginormous influence on government policy to the point where they don't want to elect a strong-willed, strong-minded president like a Donald Trump or a JFK. They don't want those types of people. And I know I put Trump and JFK in the same sentence, and for some that might be, sacrilegious. But Tulsi Gabbard, she would be at the very top of that list. It's sad, but we have to come to grips with the idea that Tulsi Gabbard may have seen even more of how this insider trading works within our government and with corporations. It's deeper, it's more entrenched, and I don't think you're going to remove it. I don't. Look, what Trump is doing right now, and a lot of people, the Trump supporters, some of them are like, oh, Trump's not doing enough. Trump can't do much more. He can't do much more. If he gets elected for a second term, I bet you he'll acquiesce to a lot of what these corporations want. I'm pretty sure. The stuff he's doing against China, that stuff is going to start to fade. A re-election will do that to somebody. It'll do one or two things. It'll embolden them, or it will take the wind out of their policy initiatives, if they have any. And with Biden, you have CEOs of large corporations that will just start writing policy. And it will come down, and Biden will rubber stamp and Congress will rubber stamp both on the left and the right. There's a lot in common between Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. People don't think there is, but there is. And that's why they're still there, because the corporations can use those people to get most of what they want done. And they can fight about the tribal issues, and people think, oh, okay, we need to put Pelosi back in there because she at least, is fighting for the blue team, even though the blue team doesn't even have a playbook at this point. The playbook is all run, again, from the corporation. So I know that was a weird tangent I went on, but I wanted to make it clear to everybody that if Tulsi Gabbard decides not to be involved in this anymore, it's because she's realized that it's futile. There's not much you can do. You can vote to prevent something, maybe. You can vote for safety. Maybe if you want law and order, you vote for the law and order candidate, and maybe they'll work with the county sheriff and your state rep and, just people in your county to enact things that you feel should be enacted. And those are the things that affect you the most, the local things. But bottom line, when it comes to the larger scale, it's like, here's a figurehead, here comes another figurehead. How bad is this figurehead going to screw things up? And the corporations are just there to make sure that that person falls in line with their agenda. And there's no way Tulsi Gabbard is going to submit to any corporations. So her political career, probably it can't get much higher than Congress. And, once the corporation sees that you're not doing their bidding when you're in the Congress, they're going to make it very hard for you. They will put up candidates who have an endless supply of money and life security. Basically, you'll be taken care of individually. You'll be taken care of for life, you and your family. In the meantime, this is how you need to vote. These are the issues you support. These are the causes you talk about, because once you start doing that, then you establish yourself as a Washington politician. And those are the kind of people that we work with. We don't work with outsiders. We don't work with a Donald Trump. We don't work with a Tulsi Gabbard or Justin Amash. We don't do it. We don't do it because those people are outside the mainstream. If they want their bread buttered, all right, they want, their whatever greased, this is what you do. And there is a high majority of people that sees the dollar signs. They see the dollar signs and they say, it's really not worth me fighting for this cause anymore. I'm going to just do what's best for not the American people, but the corporate state, the corporation state. So I've been saying for a long time that I don't think the country, and by the way, this might be an argument for more centralized control and less. I think what happened here is that the corporations became the central control, but they also grew because governments did not put them in check, because corporations are not one of the three branches of government, but quite honestly, they are the tree trunk of government right now. And I think a lot of people just miss it. And next time you turn on TV, see which corporations are sponsoring or advertising during so-called media shows and events, news shows. A lot of big pharma, a lot of high-tech stuff all the time, telecommunications companies all the time. And they're the ones who call the shots. They're the ones who circumvent the rules and the laws because they have influence and they have deep pockets. It's beyond lobbying. It's governing. That's what it is. So there's my video. These are deep thoughts, and you could probably do a video about any one of these smaller subsets within this video. But the video originally was basically trying to explain why Tulsi Gabbard might be through with politics. Plus, she might start a family and so forth. And I think she just has had enough. So that's my video. See you soon.